They tried to silence him. They erased his name. But he rebuilt from nothing. He fought every algorithm. They tried again and failed. Now he's back, stronger. From blackout to spotlight, he's at the White House, at the top of his game. Franchi lives.
You are about to enter another dimension, the dimension of truth, unfiltered and uncensored. Welcome to the Raw Feed with Gary Franchi.
Welcome to the Raw Feed. I'm Gary Franchi, coming to you live from the heart of America. Unfiltered truth to millions on YouTube. Hit those donation links below. Every contribution powers our gear. Every contribution keeps the party going. Help me help you. Hit those donation links. YouTube channel memberships. Special acknowledgement in the fellowship. Your super chats keep me standing. Your Rumble rants fuel every round.
Say hello to super chats.
Spread the intel. Every repost extends our reach.
Super chats fuel this spectacle. Your Rumble rants give me strength.
24/7 members-only community, behind-the-scenes discussions.
Connect with fellow patriots.
My mama always said, life is like sharing the truth. Text this stream to your friends.
What if I told you the app is real? Download the Next News Network app. Android users, take the Google Play path. iPhone users, App Store awaits.
What's up, everybody? Gary Franchi, Next News Network. You're watching the Raw Feed. I'm just sending out some messages right now, telling folks to tune in because we need to get everybody in here for tonight's show. So while I'm doing this, I expect you are doing it as well. Just sending out some text messages, some direct messages, and there we go. So good evening, America. I'm Gary Franchi. This is the Raw Feed. On this very date, December 18th, 1865, Secretary of State William Seward declared that the 13th Amendment, in effect, abolished every piece of slavery across the United States. It was the culmination of a brutal war, years of bloodshed, and a nation torn apart by powerful interests who refused to let go of a corrupt system. The establishment of that era told Americans that the institution was too big to fail, too embedded to remove, too dangerous to challenge. They were wrong, and 260 years later, that's right, and 160 years later, we find ourselves watching another entrenched establishment, this time a media cartel, a bureaucratic deep state, and a globalist order facing the same reckoning. Tonight, we bring you 5 stories that prove the old guard is losing grip. President Trump just pulled off what might be the cleanest information warfare operation in modern political history. He floated a decoy, let the networks run wild with war hysteria over Venezuela, and while they screamed about phantom invasions, he delivered a disciplined national address that left them exposed. Newt Gingrich compared it to Ronald Reagan. The media compared it to fascism. America saw through the game. They wanted panic, but they got played. But the Venezuela story is far from over. Trump has deployed a naval armada and imposed a total blockade on sanctioned Venezuelan oil tankers. The Maduro regime is now designated a foreign terrorist organization. They stole American assets, funded cartels, trafficked humans, and laundered drug money for decades, and tonight they are surrounded. And here is the twist that will make your head spin. The very law authorizing this action was written by Chuck Schumer himself. The globalists are furious, but Trump, he's just getting started. And then there's Dan Bongino, the deputy FBI director, leaving the bureau. And the timing tells you everything. This comes after reported clashes with the Justice Department over the sudden closure of the Epstein investigation. 8 sources confirmed his departure. His office is cleaned out, and the official story says it was all planned, but the evidence suggests otherwise. A man who sacrificed everything to clean a house is walking out the door, and he is about to have his microphone back. So the deep state should certainly be terrified. And then we've been covering the BBC lawsuit, and tonight there's more. The British broadcaster admitted to manipulating footage of President Trump. They pulled the program, they apologized, and now they're using taxpayer money to fight a $10 billion defamation suit. The same doctored clip was entered as evidence in an American courtroom. Enrique Tarrio confirmed it was shown to his jury. This is not sloppy journalism. This is evidentiary contamination with real-world consequences. And Trump is making them pay for every single penny. And finally, the president signed an executive order reclassifying marijuana from Schedule 1 to Schedule 3. The media immediately screamed legalization. Trump shut it down in real time on camera. This is not about recreational drug use. This is about medical research, veteran care, and Medicare patients finally getting access to treatments that were blocked for decades by bureaucratic inertia. Big Pharma, of course, is furious. The narrative merchants are spinning, and once again, Trump outmaneuvered them all before the ink was even dry. 5 stories, 1 theme. The old information empire is crumbling. The bureaucratic state is fracturing, and the American people are watching it happen all in real time. The establishment told us that their system was untouchable. They said the same thing back in 1865. Powerful men insisted the corrupt order would stand forever. Well, that challenging, it was dangerous, reckless, impossible. They were wrong then. They were wrong now. And tonight we're going to show you exactly how wrong they are. The walls are closing in, but not on who they told you, because the reckoning has arrived, and let's get into it so we can welcome you to the show. We got John and Karen and Roger, Miss Potted, Kenny, 2 doggies, and Kathy, Too Fast Jim. James Fay here. FNA Ranger. Karen, Jay, Vicky. It's 6 here, not -6 in Iowa. Oof. That's not, I don't like, man, I can't stand the winter. We got Kathy, we got Bud, we got Elaine Miller, Kathy Deaton. The gang is all filing in. Great to see you, Kim, Sam, Everybody's here. Who else? We got Charlie. Sure you. What's up, man? Deb is here. Chuck in the house. Quindrum is here. What's up? What's up? What's up, Tennessee? Charlie? Wilbur? Everybody is here. Who was the first one in the chat room today? Let's find out. Who was the first? Oh, look at that. And we got, it was Mike. Oh, and Gen Xer dropped $5 celebrating his super chats. Michael U. Jones 76 was here. The first guy in the chat room. You win today. Pothead Kenny, you came in 5th place. But I saw your message the other day. It's not about being first. All right. Love you guys. Let me just acknowledge that super chat. Oh, there's a couple here. Wow. James Fay dropping 5. Gen Xer, he says hello, N3 Patriots. Gen Xer, Bongino's resignation is confusing me, unless he saw what we suspect is a deeper, darker plot. We're going to get into that. Inbred Outlook dropping $2. Good evening to you too. All right. Let's go, Brian. Last night on this very show, we reported what appeared to be credible information about imminent military action. Venezuela was on the table. The signals were real. Every major network ran with the same story, but here's the truth. And here at the Next News Network, we always bring you the truth. President Trump is just that smart. What unfolded wasn't chaos or confusion. It was the most calculated information warfare operation we've seen in modern politics. Trump let everyone chase the decoy while he prepared the real message. And tonight we're going to show you exactly how he pulled it off. Now here's what's at stake. The credibility of every major news network just took a direct hit. They spent hours screaming about imminent war. They dragged Tucker Carlson's name into the hysteria. They ran panic graphics and breathless coverage about a conflict that existed only in their imaginations. Meanwhile, President Trump stepped to the podium and delivered a 19-minute address so disciplined that even establishment figures compared it to Ronald Reagan. The networks wanted to frame him as dangerous and unhinged. Instead, they exposed themselves as reactionary and reckless. For the American people, this matters because it proves what we've been saying for years. The corporate press doesn't report news, they manufacture narratives, and when that narrative falls apart on live television, trust dies with it. This wasn't just a bad news cycle. This was an extinction-level event for media credibility. And some news on the financial front, because as we wrap up 2025, it's a good time to slow down and reflect on the year. There's one thing we've all learned. It's that uncertainty isn't temporary. It's the world we live in now. Waiting for things to go back to normal is not a plan. It's a gamble. And for over a decade, my friends at Noble Gold Investments, they've helped Americans protect themselves and the people they love by diversifying their wealth with gold and silver. Now, nobody knows what 2026 will bring. But one thing's for sure, in an uncertain world, real wealth isn't digital. It's physical, it's lasting, and it's yours. When you are sitting around the table this holiday, surrounded by a family, remember the best gift that you can give isn't under the tree, it's peace of mind, and that's what Noble Gold delivers. So before the year ends, take one smart step towards a safer future and visit nextnewsgold.com and get your free wealth protection kit today. That's nextnewsgold.com. And make sure you check out the telephone number, 877-646-5347, and find out how you can get one of these beautiful silver coins, actually 10 of them, if you qualify. And silver is going up quick, so you want to make sure you get in right away. I mean, silver is exploding. So let's get into what's happening here, because we got some really interesting news, because it gets better. While the press was melting down over phantom wars, Trump laid out the numbers that they didn't want you to hear. Under Democrat rule, the annual cost of a typical mortgage exploded by $15,000 in just 11 months. Trump has already cut that burden by $3,000. Inflation halted, wages rising, prices falling, reverse migration happening for the first time in 50 years. And then NBC's Peter Alexander stood outside the White House and called bonuses for 1.45 million active duty troops a grievance. That's right, a grievance. Supporting our military is now an attack in his mind. That's what Trump derangement syndrome does to a person. Now, it all unfolded. We're going to just kind of backtrack here, because if you remember this clip, this is what Tucker Carlson said last night, that everybody was running with. Of course, we saw it. We're like, holy cow, this is a big deal. We got to talk about it.
To start a war in Venezuela?
I don't know. I don't know when this program airs. The one that we're on right now. This thing's maybe live.
We're live now, and then it'll be posted immediately. So now,
my sense is, I don't know the answer. I've certainly been on the phone a lot about it. I have no power. I'm a podcaster, but I'm very interested. And so here's what I know so far, which is that members of Congress were briefed yesterday that a war is coming, and it'll be announced in the address to the nation tonight at 9:00.
And of course, that didn't happen. Tucker Carlson getting roasted, though. Donald Trumpo, after this, posted this. This is actually quite funny, but people are like, Tucker, you're running around telling everybody there's a war coming. Clearly, Tucker either is in on the joke, right? Either he got the memo to spread this disinformation so that the media would run with it because Tucker is an inside man for the administration. Let's listen. But other people roasting him. Let's listen. This is funny.
That's where she gets all her. Well, apparently we're not going to war with Venezuela.
Now, I'm clear to point out here that this is not really Tucker Carlson saying this. Somebody made this, and whoever made it, this is probably one of the most convincing AI videos I've ever seen. At first, I thought it was real, but then as you listen to what he says, it's hilarious.
Well, apparently we're not going to war with Venezuela. My sources were wrong. I just wanted to share how it is that I got the information, if you allow me. Last night, I had a dream. President Maduro came to me in the dream, and he said, Tucker, El Presidente Trump is declaring el war on Venezuela. I need your help, Tucker. The dream was so real that I had to check if it was true or not. So I called Candace Owens. She said that all dreams are totally credible sources of information. That's where she gets all her information from. So now I know we're definitely going to war with Venezuela. I had to check with a government source one last time before I leaked this totally credible information. So I called Marjorie Taylor Greene, and she said, Tucker, you go ahead and leak that information. I also had a dream about it. So that's basically what happened. Well, apparently we're not going to war with Venezuela.
But he tricked him. He tricked him. Check this out. President Trump tricked them all.
Like, they're just stuck. So here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Trump just tricked every liberal mainstream media station into playing his address. Michael Knowles literally telling America that Trump pulled a war in Venezuela fake out to make the networks broadcast all his first year wins in prime time, all in front of cozy Christmas decorations at the White House. This is simply the best media manipulator ever to hold office. So Michael Knowles pretty much saying that Trump pulled a fake out, even tricked Tucker Carlson into saying that, hey, Trump is about to announce war in Venezuela. Everyone looking at their cameras, at their televisions, stuck everywhere. Like, they're just stuck. And they're waiting for this announcement of an invasion in Venezuela that's never coming because he's making these announcements. I'm talking about, look at this. Every station, ladies and gentlemen, every CNN, ABC, C-SPAN, we're talking about MS Now. Everyone was forced to play this, and I'm going to show you the meltdowns because they're mad that he started to talk about and bringing the egg prices down, bringing gas prices down, bringing the
absolutely genius. Leak what you're going to supposedly say, get everybody fired up, and then tell them all the truth. Everyone's talking about it. President Trump just executed the mother of all trolls, and the media walked right into it, using Tucker Carlson knowingly or unknowingly to float the idea that a war with Venezuela was imminent. Trump sent every major network in a full panic mode. What happened next? They cleared primetime coverage. They went wall to wall. They tuned in tens of millions of Americans, and instead of war, Trump delivered a full recap of his first-year accomplishments calmly, confidently, and in front of Christmas decorations. Absolute chess. He also told Americans something the media hates admitting. Illegal aliens were draining their hard-earned tax dollars. No spin, no apology, just the facts. In the end, the media did his distribution for him. His message reached everyone, and the panic narrative collapsed in real time. Love him or hate him, one thing's undeniable. Trump is the undisputed king of political trolling and arguably the most effective media manipulator to ever sit in the Oval Office. They never saw it coming. And President Trump, just about 10 hours ago, talking about the Freedom 2050 Freedom 250, and the 2026 celebration that honors our nation like never before.
But there is much, much more to come. We're going to have a good time. As we ring in 2026, Americans across the nation will see the iconic Washington Monument illuminated with festive birthday lights to honor the start of this historic anniversary year. Then from June 25th to July 10th of next year, we will host the Great American State Fair on the National Mall, featuring pavilions from all 50 states, highlighting breathtaking innovations and celebrating America's exceptional history and culture.
What's Minnesota going to show? What are they going to bring to the mall? NBC's Tom Lamas doing a Miriam introduction of Peter Alexander, whose recount of Trump's address was saltier than we remember during the Biden years.
NBC News. We've just been listening to President Trump there give a year-end review in his first year back in the White House. Essentially a greatest hits, some real, some perceived, for his first year back in the White House.
Some real, some perceived. You see how they spin it? How disgusting. NBC News, though.
I want to bring in NBC News Chief White House Correspondent Peter Alexander. Peter, as we sort of unpack what the president just said, we should also set the table that this is going to sort of lead into the midterms. And the president has said, the White House said that even though he won't be on the ballot, he very much will be campaigning. And tonight felt it was all about the economy and all about affordability and what he has said his government and his administration has done for the American people in trying to bring down costs. And also announcing that warrior dividend, that active duty military members will get a bonus of $1,776, a nod to the 250th anniversary of this great country, but also sort of muddying the waters when it comes to health care, saying that he will take on the health insurance companies come next year, but also not exactly explaining what's happening with Obamacare and what's going to happen with the subsidies come next year.
Yeah, Tom, I think there's a lot to unpack. To be very clear, what you just heard from the President Trump tonight from the White House was indistinguishable in many ways from what you hear on the trail in the form of a political rally, except he had the sort of cheery greenery here behind him. I think fundamentally what the president did was, with the sort of brisk pace and that intense energy, is again lay out a series, a lot of his grievances, many falsehoods in the course of it. Unreal. And again, repeatedly he blamed right out of the gates his predecessor, Joe Biden. There are a series of things to fact check, including the president's claim that when he inherited this mess, as he described it, it was the highest inflation the country's ever had. That is not true. By the time he took over, inflation had dropped significantly. It remains at that place right now. But fundamentally, Tom, for the president, the challenge he faces going forward is that he, like his predecessor, is trying to tell Americans that things are better than they say they are feeling. 2/3 of Americans right now said they are dissatisfied with his handling of the cost of living and inflation. Tom.
All right, Peter Alexander for us.
Peter Alexander having a TDS meltdown outside the White House in real time. And we have our own AI reporter covering the topic.
He called breaking tonight. NBC's Peter Alexander. Breaking tonight, NBC's Peter Alexander just suffered a complete TDS meltdown outside the White House. He called military bonuses for our troops a presidential grievance. Mackenzie is live at the White House.
Right here on the North Lawn, I watched Peter Alexander dismiss bonuses for 1.45 million service members as political theater. He called presidential accomplishments falsehoods. Absolutely disgraceful journalism.
So supporting our military is now a grievance? This is NBC's chief White House correspondent, folks. He can't hide his hatred for 15 seconds, and they wonder why no one trusts them anymore.
Breaking tonight, NBC's Peter Alexander just suffered a complete TDS meltdown outside the White House.
And that's our new AI anchor. Yeah, got quite a few of them. I'm working on some side projects, and they're pretty cool, actually. Here's Newt Gingrich. What are your thoughts on it? What do you guys think? Do you like this stuff? I'm basically going to try to create a brand, like a Next News AI brand that's totally controlled by me. It's all controlled by me. I'm the director. I'm the producer of it. So it's not like AI running in the wild, but it's actual real news, timely, real news, but it is delivered by anchors that I physically create. So drop a thought about that. And we have this from Newt Gingrich on Trump's address to the nation.
Ronald Reagan. To watch President Trump give a 19-minute disciplined speech that covered that many facts was worthy of Ronald Reagan. That was a good speech. It was an important speech. Someday people will say it was one of the most important speeches of his career because it set the table for the entire debate over the next year and laid out what Biden did to make the country a disaster, what Trump has already done, and where we are going in general, and why that's the right direction. I think it's a very, very important speech. To watch.
Definitely an important speech, no doubt. Here we have from Sky News. His tone seemed to be angry and frustrated. Stone at Sky News reacts to Trump's address to the nation.
Text here, and the reason, well, actually really quite fascinating, not for news lines, but for his tone, which seemed to me to be angry. It seemed to me to be frustrated. The context here and the reason he's decided to do this speech tonight is, I think, important. There was some speculation that there might be some announcement, perhaps on Venezuela. We were being steered away from that, and clearly that steer was correct. There was no new announcement on Venezuela or indeed on anything else significant. Instead, as you point out, what it was a greatest hits. But the context in which he made it is I think, really important to point out, because his polling numbers are really...
You got duped too. Yes, you did. Caitlin Collins, their takeaway from Van Jones and Scott Jennings on Trump's speech.
Back in the ring and start defining...
I mean, you're very in touch with the president's base and what those voters want to hear. Do you think they heard that tonight?
Well, I think they wanted him to get back in the ring and start defining the contours of the election. I mean, I think he spent a lot of last year on foreign affairs to great success. But now we're moving into an election year. And the first line, I inherited a mess and I am fixing it, reminding people that we were in a deep hole. And that's why he got elected in the first place. He is going to have to ask for some forbearance from the American people. But you can tell he does have a story to tell here. Some of it is in the big, beautiful bill. That is the centerpiece of his domestic policy agenda. The tax cuts are good. And he does have villains here. The health insurance companies are a good villain. The Democrats being at an 18% approval rating, that's a good villain. And so when you're going into an election, I think it's got two jobs. One, sell what you're doing. But two, you got to post up against the alternative. The American people just rejected the alternative a year ago. And now he needs them to reject the alternative again. So I guess for Republicans, he's their salesman. And he has not been leading the sales fight on defining the contours of the election. But now he is. And I think you'll see a lot of Republicans saying, OK, the salesman in chief is back. He's our leader. Let's get behind him.
Van Jones?
Yeah, no, we're going to skip you, Van Jones. Don't worry about it. Here we have Luke Ball writing, President Trump's address to the nation was a Trump rally speech in the past tense. The bully pulpit was well leveraged.
Have ended war. It was a Trump rally speech in the past tense. What do I mean by that? On the campaign trail, he said, I will do this, I will do that. And tonight he said, I have worked to fix the economy. I have ended wars. I have sealed the border. I think that blaming the president for any lingering economic problems at this point is like blaming the firefighter for the work the arsonist did. It's going to take a little bit of time to clean up. And I just have to think of the juxtaposition of when Biden wanted to address the nation and make his political arguments. He did it and called us threats to democracy, said MAGA was a threat to democracy, and had soldiers standing behind him as he pounded his fists on the podium. The president delivered cold, hard facts tonight, and I think the bully pulpit was well leveraged.
Yeah,
it was a
baby.
Trump.
President Trump, let's get to some of those remarks that he did make.
Again, the Democrat inflation disaster, again, the worst in the history of our country, also robbed millions of Americans of home ownership and indeed the American dream. The yearly cost of a typical new mortgage increased by $15,000 under Democrat rule. In 11 months, we've already gotten that annual cost down by $3,000, and it's coming down a lot lower. Wait till you see. The numbers are going to be shocking. And I'll soon announce our next chairman of the Federal Reserve, someone who believes in lower interest rates by a lot and mortgage payments will be coming down even further early the new year, and you will see this. In the new year, I will announce some of the most aggressive housing reform plans in American history. The Democrat inflation...
More plans are coming here in the future for mortgages. Let's see. Here's more from the president.
Citizen, or in the end, government either serves the productive, patriotic, hardworking American citizen, or it serves those who break the laws, cheat the system, and seek power and profit at the expense of our nation. Look at Minnesota, where Somalians have taken over the economics of the state and have stolen billions and billions of dollars from Minnesota and indeed from the United States of America. And we're going to put an end to it. For so long as before my election, the vast majority of good and decent Americans were forced to watch as corrupt politicians plundered the halls of power, exploited our taxpayers, and pillaged every system that makes civilized society function. But not anymore, and you see that every day, not anymore. We're putting America first, and we are making America great again. Very simple. We are making America great again. In the
Let's go, baby. America's going great again. Here's another clip.
Housing costs was a major factor in driving up housing costs was the colossal border invasion. We have never been invaded. This is the worst thing that, frankly, in my opinion, the worst thing that the Biden administration did to our country is the invasion at the border. The last administration and their allies in Congress brought in millions and millions of migrants and gave them taxpayer-funded housing while your rent and housing costs skyrocketed. Over 60% of growth in the rental market came from foreign migrants. At the same time, illegal aliens stole American jobs and flooded emergency rooms, getting free health care and education paid for by you, the American taxpayer. They also increased the cost of law enforcement by numbers so high that they are not even to be mentioned. For the first time in 50 years, we are now seeing reverse migration as migrants go back home, leaving more housing and more jobs for Americans. In the year before my election, all net creation of jobs was going to foreign migrants. Since I took office, 100% of all net job creation has gone to American-born citizens. 100%. A major factor in driving...
Dude, Trump is just winning on all fronts. Here he's talking about the World Cup, the Olympics, and celebrating the 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence.
Of independence. Soon we will host the World Cup and the Olympics, both of which I got. But most importantly, we will celebrate the 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence. There could be no more fitting tribute to this epic milestone than to complete the comeback of America that began just 1 year ago. When the world looks at us next year, let them see a nation that is loyal to its citizens, faithful to its workers, confident to its identity, certain to its destiny, and the envy of the entire globe. We are respected again like we have never been respected before. Soon we will host...
Yeah, because you got someone who's got some freaking backbone finally. Here he is talking about the border.
Wages are up. Tonight, after 11 months, our border is secure. Inflation is stopped. Wages are up. Prices are down. Our nation is strong. America is respected. And our country is back, stronger than ever before. We're poised for an economic boom, the likes of which the world has never seen.
An economic boom is coming, and I am ready for it. Let's see. Reverse migration. Wow. America first, baby, coming back. Here's Ashley, who says she was disappointed in the commentary from Democrats. Regardless of how they spin it, I want the White House to know that we appreciate that 1776 bonus.
For Christmas. Hey guys, this is going to be really short and to the point. Last night, I watched President Trump's speech, as did my husband, and he announced that he was giving every active duty service member $1,776 as a little bonus before Christmas. And I thought, wow, this is really great. And my husband looks at me and he says, who else would do this? You know, what other president would do this? And I was like, exactly, it wouldn't happen. And we thought of all the wonderful things that could be done with this, especially for our junior service members who, you know, they do live on a much tighter budget. They often have more than one kid. And money can be tight, and especially around the holidays when you're trying to buy gifts for your children, pay extra bills. And a lot of families go home to visit, you know, their parents or others, and that can get very expensive. So we thought this is fantastic. Until I get up on social media this morning and I see Democrats saying the most horrible things. Like, can they not give him credit for anything? This is a wonderful gift, okay? Especially for those who sacrifice the most, that have missed many Christmases, birthdays, countless anniversaries, any holidays. These people deserve it more than anyone. So you can scoff and make it personal to President Trump if you want to. I think that's really sad. Okay, how about you say, you know what, maybe I don't agree with him on everything, but this is something nice that he could do for our service members. But they can't give him any credit. So I want to say, from a former service member, from a military spouse who lives on a military base and sees the struggles that these people go through every single day, thank you to President Trump. Hey guys, this is going to be really short and to the point.
Thank you, President Trump. So here's the moment the mask completely slipped. While critics overseas claim Trump sounded angry and frustrated, military families across the country woke up to a $1,776 bonus. And they said, thank you. The money's real and it matters. The media wanted to talk about tone. Americans cared about results. Trump used their hysteria as cover to deliver a reset message directly to the people. Borders secure, nation strong, America respected. The corporate press wanted panic and they got checkmate instead. And the whole country knows who's actually winning this information war. So what you just witnessed tonight was a masterclass in strategic communication. President Trump understood exactly how the media would react. He knew they couldn't resist the war narrative. He let them run with it, exhaust themselves, and expose their bias to the entire nation. And then he calmly delivered results while they scrambled to explain themselves. Here at the Next News Network, we always bring you the truth. And the truth is simple. Trump was 10 steps ahead of everyone, including us. That's not embarrassing. That's impressive. And it matters because the information war is the real battlefield. Whoever controls the narrative controls the country. And for years, the corporate press, they held that power. Tonight, they lost it on live television. So here's my question for you. Do you trust the corporate media to tell you the truth about Trump? Yes or no? Drop your answer in the comments. And if you want to support us, and support us proudly, check out the Next News merch shop. You'll find it linked in the description. All right, we're going to keep going. We got more news to get to. Let's find out what's happening with Dan Bongino. Dan Bongino. What do you guys think about the AI video? I actually I built a whole system, and it's rather remarkable when you think about what it's capable of. But I saw someone ask about the shorts. Yes, those are what you saw there was uploaded to Twitter. It's also as a YouTube short on the channel as well. So there's that. But with the holidays coming up, I might as well just warn you, so you guys aren't caught off guard. This is for the few who are watching right now, because there are millions of subscribers on this channel. What I'm considering doing, because we are going to be taking days, we're going to be taking some of the holidays off. We're going to be off on New Year's Eve, Christmas Eve, New Year's Day, Christmas Day, the day after New Year's Eve and Christmas. But I still want to keep producing news. So how do I do that? I mean, you guys have seen some of the AI videos of me, like the news stuff, and you've seen it on the intro of the show. So what I'm thinking about doing is, and it's like, even though I'll be taking off, I won't be like in studio officially. What I'm considering is, still going out, looking for some news, and then creating videos that still present the news and still present it from my perspective, my angle, and basically all the things that you guys know about me, and my delivery and our position. And then I would combine those with some of the news anchors, the virtual news anchors that we have, and then you have the virtual news anchors, and then, clips that we would hand select to put in there, and then assemble that into an upload for a YouTube video. That's sort of the idea that I'm considering. Less cleavage, please. Yeah, the AI got a little overzealous there, I think. So we're gonna probably have to tone that back a little bit. Yeah. So anyway, it's not parody. It's real news. I mean, it's actual real news. It's based on real current news, real search results of the moment for what's happening in the country. It's nothing's made up. And it's from my perspective because I program it. I'm the director. I'm the script writer for these things. So it's not AI gone wild. Let's just put it that way. It's completely controlled by me, and I'm the puppet master. Anyway, so that's yeah, I remember Naked News. I remember the Naked News. That was funny. That was, man, do they still do that? I don't know. That was a long time ago. Yeah, I'm just looking at some of your comments here. Bud Morgan says, more cleavage, please. You guys are hilarious. What am I going to do without Gary's show? A boring holiday season, 2 doggies. Well, I think what you're going to see is, we'll continue. I will still be puppet mastering behind the scenes on some of the uploads. And it'll be a nice test to see how the audience reacts to it and that kind of thing. But, I like to experiment. I like to be on the cutting edge of technology and pushing it to its limits and incorporating it into what we do. And that's why having Next News AI is, I think, really next level. Just leveraging the full power of it, and still being able to produce real content. But then I could spend time with my family during the holidays. I'm a news junkie by nature. So what happens, even when I'm with my family, I'm always tracking. I'm always looking. I'm always want to see what's happening in the world and how I can frame that and present that. So it's not going to be all, candy canes and sugar plums. My mind's always in the game, believe me. Let's take a look at some of you. I'm reading your comments here, so I'm curious as to how you guys think. Do a mashup of you and Walter Cronkite with a cigar in your voice. That would be interesting. I could probably do that. I could probably have like a Christmas morning cigar next to the fireplace, kind of news delivery. Thanks for the idea. Okay, so Wilden for Life says $5. I'm so sick of the shitheads spending my tax dollars to save their own ass. I got my cup, Gary. Thanks. Right on. He came back. He says, illegal. Don't pay taxes, kids. Came back again, $2. I'm sick of spending my burrito money here. That's funny. Inbred Outlook. Do a mashup of you and Walter Cronkite with a cigar in your voice. That would be so funny. I'll try. Who knows? Okay. Let's get to the next topic here. But what do you guys think about that? Having some like more long form content? I'm totally curious as to what you guys think. AI content. That's what I'm saying. Not just the shorts. Okay. Excuse me. Something just happened inside the FBI that has Washington on edge. Deputy Director Dan Bongino, he's leaving the Bureau, and the timing tells you everything. Months ago, he reportedly clashed with top Justice Department officials over the abrupt closure of the Epstein investigation. That's when the resignation rumors started swirling, and now it's official. 8 FBI sources confirmed his exit, his office getting cleaned out, and the deep state's breathing a sigh of relief. But really, should they? Because Dan Bongino is about to get his microphone back, and he knows exactly where all the bodies are buried. Now, for what's at stake, for months, Bongino operated inside the most powerful law enforcement agency on earth with one mission: clean house and solve cases the system buried. He gave up his media empire. He uprooted his family. He spent months isolated in Washington, separated from his wife, staring at 4 walls while doing the work Kash Patel and President Trump asked him to do. The reported clash over Epstein wasn't a minor disagreement. It was a battle over whether the American people would ever learn the truth about the most protected criminal network in modern history. And shortly after that, confrontation, whispers about his departure began. The implications are enormous. You see, if Bongino was pushed towards the exit because he got too close to protected interests, it means the deep state is still calling the shots. If he left because the mission is complete, we deserve to know what was accomplished. Either way, a man who saw everything from inside is about to speak freely again. And some breaking news on the weight loss front. We've all seen the headlines about Ozempic and those so-called miracle shots, but here's what Big Pharma won't tell you. A major new analysis found that people who stopped taking injections like Ozempic gained back nearly all their weight within a year. These drugs only work while you're on them. They're expensive, and the moment you stop, your body fights back hard. And that's why I'm excited to tell you about BioTrust GLP-1 Elevate at trustwithgary.com. It naturally triggers the same hunger-controlling signals without needles, prescriptions, or scary side effects. It promotes fullness, reduces hunger hormones, and supports fat loss instead of muscle loss. Right now, you get 40% off at trimwithgary.com with a 60-day guarantee and free shipping. Plus, BioTrust donates donates a meal, not a kid, to nokidhungry.org with every order. So head to trimwithgary.com and grab some for yourself. Now, here's where the story takes a darker turn. Independent reporters have started connecting Bongino's departure to unresolved cases the corporate press won't touch. Questions about delayed evidence, missing surveillance footage, and foreign intelligence involvement are circulating yet again. The same names, the same patterns, the same silence from the Bureau. Enrique Tarrio, who spent 40 months in prison for a crime he didn't commit, weighed in with a pointed message. He doesn't want to hear complaints about 10 months of sacrifice when he stared at four walls for over 3 years. The pressure inside that building must have been immense. John Solomon reports that Bongino did the job he was asked to do: get rid of the bad eggs and solve the cases. But which cases? And what did he find? Now, I want to go to, this is the moment that we, this is back in July when the rumors started swirling. Lindell TV writes, FBI Deputy Director Dan Bongino sparks resignation rumors amid Epstein case fallout. Bongino took the day off on Friday following a heated White House clash with Pam Bondi over the Justice Department's abrupt closure of the Epstein case, igniting speculation that he resigned. While Trump's administration official denied his departure, insiders describe rising internal tensions between the FBI and DOJ. At the center of the firestorm is a missing minute in the newly released surveillance from Epstein's cell, which Bongino reportedly approved for release. Bongino, once a vocal critic of Epstein cover-ups, now faces backlash for the very oversight he once condemned as pressure mounts on Bondi for overpromising a non-existent client list. All leading up to an alleged dramatic meeting with Bondi, Bongino, and top officials, reportedly ending with Bongino storming out of D.C. This is the first major fracture inside President Trump's appointed law officials, or the beginning of something bigger brewing in the swamp. Now, again, that was posted by Lindell TV on July 11th. And now Bongino has resigned. Just a few hours ago, Mike Davis joined Real America's News. And he writes on X, he says, cheers to FBI Deputy Director Dan Bongino, a true warrior and friend. He went in to drive bold reforms, and he did just that. He left money on the table to serve. Now he will fight through media and build more warriors. That was always the plan. Let's listen.
FBI Deputy Director
Dan Bongino tenders his resignation within the first 10 months. I think Dan got there, I think in February, March. Your thoughts, sir?
I would say cheers to FBI Deputy Director Dan Bongino. He's a warrior. He's a friend. He went to the FBI for a short stint to bring much needed, bold, serious reforms to the FBI. He never intended to stay beyond January. He's told me that privately for many, many, many months. He left a lot of money on the table to go do this government service. He's going to go back and play a crucial role on the outside by continuing his conservative media, his podcast, and other media outlets that he runs to make sure that we have more warriors on the outside. This has always been Dan Bongino's plan, and we should thank him for his service.
And we do thank him for his service. Let's dive deeper. FBI Director Dan Bongino leaving the Bureau in January after speculation rose this week concerning his departure.
And said that we got some breaking news just coming in that Dan Bongino just put in his resignation for the FBI and said that he will be stepping down in January. Now, I got to be honest with you, I'm not too surprised over this, as I heard the rumblings, what is happening behind closed doors, that Danny has not been happy. And I get it. Danny's a no fuck around type of guy. He wants everything to be done right and smoothly, and no politics involved. And I get it. He is a true patriot.
Definitely is. Emerald Robinson reported on September 17th, Bongino leaving the FBI as the FBI's cover-up of the Charlie Kirk assassination starts falling apart at the seams. Now, I don't think there was a cover-up in the Charlie Kirk assassination. I do not follow that narrative, so I'm not going to give that guy any time. 24 hours ago, Lincoln Square, 8 FBI sources report that Dan Bongino, they write, podcaster, conspiracist, unreal. And current FBI deputy director is leaving the Bureau. His office is reportedly cleaned out. Will he return to podcasting and spill the tea on the lawless regime? Let's see how MS Now spins it.
That's right. Bongino has told a number of colleagues and his close staff that he's gone, essentially. He's going to announce it fairly soon. We've reported that some of his effects have been moved out of his office. That's according to more than 8 people that we've talked to. Look, everybody I've spoken to at the FBI believes he's gone. He didn't comment on it. But look, he's been an incredibly controversial pick for deputy director. That's a job has always in history been reserved for a career FBI agent. Dan Bongino was not that. He was a Secret Service agent for a while, and then he became a right-wing podcaster. He was not popular inside the FBI. He was not popular with the Justice Department and with Attorney General Pam Bondi, and they had some clashes over the handling of the Epstein files. And now it appears that he is gone. One thing he can point to, he did try to put pressure on the FBI to try to solve the case of the pipe bombs planted outside RNC and DNC headquarters before January 6th, and the Bureau did solve that case based on career investigators. So he is taking credit for that. I should say, though, that the suspect that they've arrested and named does not support the conspiracy theories that Bongino was advocating as a podcaster when he said that the FBI...
Okay, all right, yeah. Conspiracy theories. Here's John Solomon reporting Bongino will be leaving. He says it's been planned for a while, and he'll be going back to his radio show. Like I said, those early rumors are now panning out to be true. That was just the early rumblings.
In January, I think that. Before we go, if you don't mind, you're very close to Kash Patel. You have great access. Dan Bongino, good friend of mine. I keep reading these articles that he's finished. He may be leaving. Yeah. I texted him last night. I think he'll leave in January officially. I think he's probably on holiday soon, but I think he'll leave in January. I think that's the current plan. By the way, that's been the plan for some time, since the summer. He wanted to get the January 6th pipe bomb investigation done and some other things. He wanted to get the ship righted. But, he had a burgeoning radio empire that had to be put on hold, and that's never a good thing for your business. So I think he did the job that Kash Patel and the president asked him to do. Get the organization uprighted, get rid of the bad eggs, at least some of the bad eggs or many of the bad eggs, solve some of these lingering issues like the January 6th case, and then go back to your job if you want to. And I think history will look back and say it was short, but we got a lot done in that time frame. Meanwhile, Kash Patel... At
the same time, think about, Elon Musk goes in for a few months, And what does he do? He cleans house in the government, like severely cleans house. Dan Bongino goes in, helps clean house at the FBI. I don't know who this is. Well, this is the Bongino report. Oh, this is official.
Bongino put this. Do we have some breaking? Did something happen today? Do we have some breaking news? I think we do. So, Deputy Director of the FBI, Dan Bongino, put this out on X. He said this: I will be leaving my position with the FBI in January. I want to thank President Trump, Attorney General Bondi, and Director Patel for the opportunity to serve with purpose. Most importantly, I want to thank you, my fellow Americans, for the privilege to serve you. God bless America and all those who defend her. American flag emoji, of course, his iconic sign off. And President Trump was asked about this. He also confirmed, watch this.
Oh, Dan did a great job. I think he wants to go back to his show.
Well, as for next steps, I am not going to get in front of Dan.
Sure, he's going to be starting up his show, and I'm sure it's going to be awesome. Every major outlet covered this. Fox News.
For the opportunity. Deputy FBI Director Dan Bongino announcing on X just moments ago he is leaving the Bureau in January. He added this: I want to thank President Trump, AG Bondi, and Director Patel for the opportunity to serve with purpose. Most importantly, I want to thank you, my fellow Americans, for the privilege to serve you. God bless America and all those who defend her. Deputy FBI Director Dan.
Here is Wall Street Mav. Bongino leaving the FBI. The deep state is winning. That's what they believe. Enrique Tarrio says there are service members that are deployed longer than 10 months on a battlefield. It's hard on them and their families. I don't want to hear it. I stared at 4 walls in a prison for 40 months for a crime I did not commit. It was hard on my family, and I don't want to hear it. The American people suffered for 4 years under a president that used the entire apparatus of the FBI to put them away for their political beliefs. I don't want to hear it. As deputy director of the most powerful law enforcement agency in the world, he was given the opportunity to right those wrongs, to end the weaponization of government. He instead wanted to go back to podcasting. I don't want to hear it, Tarrio continues. Many on here say his first episode is going to be fire. Tell that to the families of 1,600 people who suffered and cried for 4 years. Oh, that doesn't piss you off? How about the people that tried to put away our president for the rest of his life, and not a single one of those perpetrators are behind bars? And he's got a good point. We're still waiting for the perp walks. As a matter of fact, these people have been promoted, he says, by the FBI. People like S.A. Nicholas Haneke or S.A. Nicole Miller. So spare me the violins. I don't give an F about the things you say on the mic and the strongly worded letters. I care about performance and results. And with Dan Bongino, we got neither. We deserve what's coming for trusting people like Bongino. We deserve all the weaponization and misery we're going to get when the Democrats get back in power. Not because we're wrong, but because we failed to act. Because we celebrate failure. We don't hold our friends that are public servants to the standard. Bookmark this: when Democrats lock up your friends and family for wrongthink. Will you remember Dan's sacrifices? I don't want to hear it. He was quote tweeting Brandon Tatum, who posted a video of Bongino on the Fox morning program, stating he gave up everything for this job.
You know, we love each other. I mean, I gave up everything for this. I mean, you know, my wife is struggling. I'm not a victim. I'm not Jim Comey. It's fine. I did this, and I'm proud I did it. But if you think we're there for tea and crumpets, well, I mean, Cash is there all day. We share it. Our offices are linked. He turns on the faucet. I hear it. He's there he gets in at like 6 o'clock in the morning. He doesn't leave till 7 at night. You know, I'm in there at 7:30 in the morning. He uses the gym. I work out in my apartment. But I stare at these 4 walls all day in D.C., you know, by myself, divorced from my wife. Not divorced, but I mean separated, divorced. And it's hard. I mean, you know, we love each other, and it's hard to be apart.
But you're doing some great work. You're straightening out the FBI. You're moving buildings. There's a lot of change.
So, Tarrio, not pleased. Let's get the full remarks from President Trump.
I think Dan did a great job. I think he wants to go back to his show.
Dan did a great job. You see, President Trump himself addressed the departure, praising Bongino's work, suggesting he simply wants to go back to his show. But here's the thing the deep state doesn't understand. Sometimes you could do more damage from behind the microphone than you ever could from inside the building. I know this firsthand. Bongino he's going back with knowledge, with scars, and with stories the American people have never heard. The Bureau knows it, the DOJ knows it, the Epstein clash months ago started this chain of events, and now the man who lived it is about to have a platform again. And the truth is still waiting to explode. So what you're witnessing is a pressure fracture inside the federal law enforcement apparatus. Dan Bongino didn't take the job for fame or money. He already had both. He took it because he believed the mission, and the mission mattered. He sacrificed everything to root out corruption from within. Months ago, he clashed with the Justice Department leadership over Epstein, and that's when the exit whispers began. And here at Next News Network, we always bring you the truth, and the truth is this. Sometimes the microphone is mightier than the badge. Just like me, Bongino can do more damage to the deep state from behind this mic than he ever could inside their walls. The American people deserve answers about what he found and why the Epstein file got slammed shut so early. So here's my question, though, tonight. Do you believe Dan Bongino accomplished his mission, or was he pushed out? Drop your answer in the comments. And visit the Next News merch shop. It's linked in the description to gear up and show your support. All right, looks like we got some more super chats coming in from Army. Why didn't Trump include wounded combat veterans? Good question. I don't know. I think it's just active duty. Wild and for life. Remember Ruby Ridge? Yes, of course. We always will. And NorCal became a member. What's up? Welcome to the family. And so did let's see. Inbred Outlook gifted 1 membership to 1953 family. All right. Cool. Appreciate you guys. We're going to move right along into our next topic of the evening. We got to talk about what's happening in Venezuela. Dan accomplished the mission. That's what you guys say. All right. Let's keep going. What just happened in the Caribbean is not a drill, and it's not a bluff, and it's not a policy disagreement. President Donald Trump has deployed a naval armada and imposed a total blockade on all sanctioned Venezuelan oil tankers in and out. The Maduro regime has been designated a foreign terrorist organization. You see, for decades, they stole American assets, funded drug cartels, and trafficked humans across the hemisphere. Well, tonight, they are surrounded. The globalists are losing their minds. This is full-spectrum economic warfare, and America just fired the first shot. Now, here's what's at stake. Venezuela nationalized American-built oil infrastructure, seized billions in corporate assets, and stiffed U.S. companies on arbitration rulings for 20 years. They had laundered that stolen wealth through drug trafficking and human smuggling operations that have flooded our southern border with chaos. Prior administrations did nothing. They issued statements. They expressed concern. They let a narco state operate with impunity 90 miles from our coastline. That era is over, and Trump has now drawn a line in the sand, and the message is unmistakable. Steal from America, and you will pay. This matters to every American because it's not just about Venezuela. It's about whether the United States will defend its interests or continue to be looted by hostile regimes who learned they could take what they wanted without consequence. The blockade is the answer, and the world is watching. And some breaking news on the preparedness front. With global instability rising and a naval blockade now active in the Caribbean, there's never been a better time to get your house in order. This Christmas, give the gift of food security with an amazing deal for my friends at My Patriot Supply. It's called the Buy One Gift Two Christmas Special. All month long, when you buy 1 emergency food kit, you'll get 2 more absolutely free. Perfect for giving as gifts. Grab a 4-week emergency food supply for yourself, and they'll include 2 1-week kits totally free. These days, it makes sense to have emergency food stored away. And with this deal, you're preparing yourself and giving meaningful gifts to family. So head to preparewithgary.com right now. This offer is only available for the holiday season at preparewithgary.com. Now, here is the twist that has Democrats choking on their own hypocrisy. The very law that's authorizing Trump to interdict narco terror vessels on the high seas was actually written by Chuck Schumer himself. The Maritime Drug Law Enforcement Act of 1986, Schumer authored it. He wrote the statute that makes it legal to blow drug boats out of the water. So when the left screams about Trump overreach, remind them their own Senate leader built the legal framework decades ago. Meanwhile, Venezuela is invoking the United Nations, claiming self-defense under Article 51, treating the blockade as an act of aggression. But here is the reality. Trump didn't threaten Caracas. He locked the exits. Stolen oil has nowhere to go, and the regime is panicking. Trump just dropped a total blockade on all sanctioned Venezuelan oil tankers. Here is news from Fox.
And complete blow. Just breaking right now across the wires, President Trump is ordering a total and complete blockade of all sanctioned oil tankers going into and out of Venezuela, saying that the armada around Venezuela will only get bigger, and that the Venezuelan regime has been designated a foreign terrorist organization, crossing on all the wires coming from the Trump administration and the president himself. A blockade of all sanctioned oil tankers into Venezuela. As we look at some of those drug boat takeouts, that's a significant move around the country of Venezuela.
Yeah, I mean, Brett, it's incredibly disturbing. I think this is why you're seeing members of Congress on both sides of the aisle coming forward and saying, you know, we need to understand a little bit more about what the posture is and what the reasoning and rationale is.
Just breaking right now.
Let's keep going here. Tensions rise as Venezuela's president orders his Navy to escort oil ships after President Trump's partial blockade. So this is from Good Morning America 11 hours ago. So think about what could happen here. Venezuela's Navy now going to be escorting the ships, the tankers. That's going to create a head-to-head confrontation. And who knows what will happen next. But I can tell you one thing. Our missiles are bigger than theirs.
Deck oil. Good morning, Michael. Overnight, there was another deadly strike on a suspected drug boat, killing 4. This one in the eastern Pacific, closer to Colombia. This brings to 99 the number killed in these boat strikes, with no evidence made public that these boats are carrying drugs. This comes as President Trump is now calling for a blockade of all sanctioned oil tankers, and there are dozens. It was just a little over a week ago we saw that dramatic seizure of an oil tanker off Venezuela's coast with an elite Coast Guard team rappelling onto the ship's deck. Oil exports are the lifeblood of Nicolas Maduro's government, and President Trump has made no secret he wants him out of power. But with this military buildup, the attack on drug boats, and now this threat of more seizures, the risk of a dangerous confrontation in the standoff is increasing, Michael.
Yeah, it seems like it's really escalating, Martha. Martha, there's new controversies around the nomination for the leader of the Coast Guard.
Exactly, Michael. Admiral Kevin Lundy had been
Let's keep going here. This is 10 hours ago. President Trump talking about the blockade on the tarmac.
Just a blockade. Not going to let anybody going through that shouldn't be going through. You remember they took all of our energy rights. They took all of our oil from not that long ago, and we want it back. But they took it. They illegally took it. Getting land, oil rights, whatever we had, they took it away because we had a president that maybe wasn't watching. But they're not going to do that. We want it back. They took our oil rights. We had a lot of oil there. As you know, they threw our companies out, and we want it back.
We want it back. Exploring the risks and escalations from Trump's naval blockade on Venezuelan oil. This clip is from a full episode of Deprogram with Ted Rall and John Curacao. Let's see this. Let's listen to their take.
Or able.
How close? How close are we to real conflict?
With Venezuela. We really should start with Venezuela. This is far more serious than I think most people recognize. It's an act of war, a naval blockade. It legally allows the Venezuelans to respond were they so inclined
or able.
Or able. I don't think they have a navy. Is that what it is? There's no navy and no There's no Navy, there's no Air Force to speak of. They do have an Army.
Yeah.
But it's mostly on the border with Colombia. So they're not really going to be.
They kind of have a Fedayeen type situation.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, they do. But remember, this country is the size of France, Germany, and Austria combined, and it's heavily jungle.
That's worth remembering because because it looks smaller on the Mercator projection.
Yes,
but
it
it's
does.
big.
It's big. It's big. And so, I don't think it's going to be a walk in the park like apparently the White House does. I think this is very, very dangerous.
Well,
Let me add one thing. I don't understand the point of it. Venezuela, I mean, we can say, oh, Venezuela, drugs, Venezuela, terrorism. Just because you say it doesn't make it so. Venezuela is not a threat to us. Venezuela is not a major drug, middle point of the United States. MC23 June is correct that Venezuela is backed by China. So what are we doing here? Have we engaged the Chinese on this? I mean, normally that's what we would do were we to go to war with a country. I just don't see what the point is. We really should start with Venezuela. This is far more serious than I think most people.
No, I agree. When you have a naval blockade in play, serious things could happen. Venezuela hits back, apparently, has exercised its lawful right to self-defense in response to the announced oil naval blockade. Caracas has taken action under Article 51 of the UN Charter, treating the move as an aggression defined by UN resolution. Trump announces naval armada, an oil blockade to target oil fields in Venezuela and shadow tanker fleet. 20 years, Venezuela nationalized American-built oil projects, stiffed U.S. companies on billions, tried to bully its way into offshore fields. Trump's Armada embargo finally makes a socialist regime pay the price for expropriating U.S. assets and laundering that oil money into repression and chaos. This will send a warning to the EU, which has spent years draining American companies through weaponized regulations, billion-euro civil penalties, and shadow tariffs dressed up as climate or digital privacy policy. Let's keep going a little deeper here. Here's President Trump.
Going through it's the blockade. Not going to let anybody going through that shouldn't be going through. You remember they took all of our energy rights. They took all of our oil from not that long ago, and we want it back. But they took it. They illegally took it.
Let's talk about the Chuck Schumer angle here. The irony is insane.
New York, his name? This in front of me? This is the Maritime Drug Law Enforcement Act of 1986, authored by a member of Congress in 1986 from the state of New York. His name? Chuck Schumer. He wrote the law that passed almost unanimously that makes it legal to blow drug boats out of the water. It happened in the 80s a lot, in the 90s a lot. Go ahead. Look it up, folks. Chuck Schumer, the author of this bill that made what we're doing with Venezuelan drug boats fully legal. We don't need permission from the rest of the world. Chuck Schumer gave us that in 1986. This in front of me? This is the Maritime Drug Law Enforcement Act of 1986, authored by a member of Congress in 1986 from the state of New York. His name? Chuck Schumer.
Oh, yes, that's the funny joke right there. It has been confirmed that Chuck Schumer wrote the law letting President Trump strike narco-terrorists. The Maritime Drug Law Enforcement Act, authored by Chuck Schumer. Oh, yeah, you can't make this stuff up, folks. But we're going to keep monitoring this. We're going to keep tracking it because this really could blow up into something much bigger, especially if Maduro's Navy decides to start shadowing their own tankers. But of course, then came the quote that detonated the globalist narrative. Trump said it plainly. They took our oil rights. They threw our companies out, and we want it back. The corporate press, of course, recoiling in horror, not because it was false, but because it shattered the polite fiction that expropriation is acceptable when wrapped in socialist slogans. For 20 years, Venezuela dared America to respond. That dare has now been answered. The Armada is in position, the tankers are stopped, and for the first time in a generation, a hostile regime is learning that FAFO isn't a slogan, it's a policy. So what you're witnessing tonight is a doctrine shift. President Trump is signaling that America will no longer tolerate economic warfare waged through nationalization, theft, or regulatory plunder. When U.S. assets are seized, whether by socialist dictators or globalist bureaucracies, there will be consequences. This matters because the blockade isn't just about Venezuela. It's a warning to every regime and every institution that they thought looting America was going to be a free risk enterprise. Here at Next News, we bring you the truth, and the truth is this: strength deters, weakness invites. And for decades, weakness invited plunder. Tonight, the board has been reset. The Armada is there. The oil isn't moving, and the world's recalculating. So here's my question. Do you support Trump's naval blockade of Venezuela? Yes or no? Drop your answer in the comments. Let's talk about it. And don't forget to visit the Next News merch shop, linked in the description, to show your support. All right. Looks like we got a Rumble donation. How cool. Nice. Like to see that. Copo 801, let's go. Next News Network raw feed. Yes, we are here. And just 1 second. Okay. Let's see. Let's see here. Let's keep going. Oh, yes. Mm-hmm. Okay, BBC caught red-handed. All right. We've been covering this story, and tonight there's more. The BBC admitted it manipulated footage of President Trump, not misinterpreted, not contextualized, edited, altered, and then caught red-handed. They pulled the program and then apologized. Case closed? No, not even close. Instead of real accountability, the British state broadcaster turned around and used public money to fight Trump's lawsuit. That means British taxpayers are now bankrolling the defense of a lie their own media created. Trump saw it, went nuclear. A $10 billion defamation suit now on the table. The old media empire is absolutely terrified. Now, here's what's at stake. This isn't about an edited clip. This is the same doctored footage deceptively altered to imply Trump said something he never said during his January 6th speech. It was entered as evidence in an American courtroom. Enrique Tarrio confirmed it was shown to his jury, and weeks later, the realization hit. Those words weren't even real. They were manufactured by a state-funded broadcaster and used to convict American citizens. That's not sloppy journalism. That's evidentiary contamination with real-world consequences. If a jury finds the BBC's manipulation caused reputational harm, legal harm, or contributed to wrongful judicial outcomes, the damages won't just be financial, they will be existential. And Trump has already extracted millions, tens of millions from YouTube, Meta, CBS, and ABC for coordinated narrative abuse. And now the BBC is next. And this time, the British taxpayer might end up funding Trump's presidential library while watching their untouchable broadcaster permanently lose credibility. And some breaking news on the independent media front, because I do want to speak directly to you, the people who watch our show, share our work, and keep us going every single day. Now, this time of year, especially as we stop and reflect on how grateful we are for this community, none of this is possible without you. Without your engagement, your comments, your prayers, and your support. If you'd like to help us keep fighting, keep producing, and keep telling the truth, the only way independent media can, we deeply appreciate your support at nnn.is/give. It's linked below. And if you can't donate, you can still help in a huge way. Just share the link to this very video with a friend or a family member. Text it to someone who needs the truth today. Those shares make a massive difference for us. We're thankful for you, and we could not do this without you. Now, here's where it gets even more explosive. Britain's establishment is furious. Commentators are melting down on air, calling Trump a bully, calling the lawsuit fascistic, claiming this is an attack on democracy itself. But notice the sleight of hand. The BBC already admitted fault. They apologize. Resignations happened. The only thing left is damages, and that's not authoritarianism. That's how courts work. Brian Stelter whined that Trump is going to war against the news media. No, Brian. The media is being held accountable for their actions. Nice try, though. The same people who demand accountability for misinformation suddenly declare it tyranny when the most powerful broadcaster in Britain is forced to answer for falsifying reality. The headlines are in. When news lies, anyone should be able to sue, even President Trump. BBC's January stitch-up. Trump sues for the truth. Trump dropping the hammer on the BBC $10 billion lawsuit over their January 6th editing job. They stitched two clips together, 54 minutes apart, to make it look like he called for violence. We got a clip from Greg Gutfeld. His point was simple. This was not a mistake. It was deliberate. And they cut out Trump's actual words calling for peace. Trump said, we're going to walk down to the Capitol. I'll be there with you. And we fight like hell. What they left out was, we're going to peacefully and patriotically make our voices heard. And here's why they're panicking, because of discovery. Emails, depositions, sworn testimony. That's the part the legacy press hates. Will he win $10 billion? Who cares? The point is accountability, forcing the editors to explain it under oath. So let's go to Gutfeld, and looks like they've got Brian Stelter here.
This morning, the BBC.
So President Trump is suing the BBC for $10 billion. In pounds, that's 7 Pritzkers, 4 Hillarys, and a Behar. Yeah, on fire, huh? You know, I bet a year ago it was unheard of for a sitting American president to file a lawsuit against a news outlet.
A year ago, it was unheard of for a sitting American president to file a lawsuit against a news outlet. This never happened before until President Trump returned to office for a second term. And as of this morning, the BBC. So he is charting a new course, trying to take his war against the news media to court. And it's going to be very difficult for him to do so, but he's trying anyway.
So it's just like this constant attack on reporters and media. And when people make mistakes and people get fired and own up to it, that should be acceptable, right? There's no path in journalism where you never make a mistake.
The only problem, lady, it wasn't a mistake. You know, stepping on someone's toe is a mistake, but marinating it in a stew, that's Jeffrey Dahmer. And Stelter, you won't get any sympathy from us. Your network ran the table on lies and hoaxes. The only reason you still have a job is no one wants to clean out your stinky office. So let's quickly recap the story. Last year, the BBC aired a documentary the night before the U.S. election. That's important. In it, they pulled one of the sleaziest editing tricks imaginable, splicing together 2 Trump clips from January 6th that were 54 minutes apart. You remember this.
They played the following clip.
We're going to walk down to the Capitol, and I'll be there with you. And we fight. We fight like hell.
But Trump didn't, in fact, say this at all. The BBC spliced together 2 clips that took place 54 minutes apart. So let's go through it again.
We're going to walk down to the Capitol, and I'll be there with you.
Now, see there, between Capitol and, that's a cut.
Thank you, nice British man. So they removed 54 minutes from the event. With editing like that, you could make The View watchable. So they made it look like Trump was advocating violence when he was calling for peace. Now the BBC has apologized, execs have resigned, heads have rolled, which means they're not saying we didn't do it. They're saying, please don't make us explain why we did it. Because court is where the emails show up. Now legally, Trump's team has a high bar. Since they filed the suit in Florida, they have to show that the BBC's dishonest reporting was aimed at people living in Florida. And as you know, most people in Florida don't watch the BBC. They watch Cops because they are on it. But Trump doesn't care. This isn't about winning $10 billion. If Trump wanted cash, he'd hold Elon Musk upside down over a toilet bowl. This is about exposing a crooked media, regardless of where they are in the world. Remember CBS? They settled. And why? Well, because media companies didn't fear losing cases. They feared discovery, depositions, sworn testimony, produced.
President Trump's got it in the bag. President Trump slapped a fake news peddler BBC $10 billion lawsuit because they're deceptively editing his speech from January 6th. BBC admitting to manipulating the footage, pulled the program, and turns around and uses your money to fight the lawsuit. BBC's a joke. BBC comes out fighting. Bully Trump's $10 billion lawsuit. How sick. Lawyers planning to grill the president over his role in the riots. You see how they're trying to frame this? That's from the Daily Mirror in the UK. Disgraceful. Trump, the defamation case that could change media. Lou Gray says, I hope he wins, then people can stop chatting in present. I don't know. Here we go. The BBC's reeling right now, facing a $1 to $5 billion lawsuit from Trump. Trump has already gained $25 million from YouTube and Meta. Let's see what Fox is saying here.
16 million has been able to receive out of people who have defamed him. YouTube, wow. 25 million, Meta, 25 million, X, 10 million, 16 million out of CBS, and 16 million out of ABC News and Disney. So he's not giving up on it. And I think he's doing a service to the country when he does this. I don't think it's just about him. He's saying the media, and he said this since the beginning with fake news, right? That's the has been able to receive.
The edited, this is Enrique Tarrio. The edited BBC clip used as evidence in the January 6th trial. This is 48 hours ago on Lindell TV. Enrique Tarrio confirming the exact same clip aired by the BBC was shown to his jury, falsely implying President Trump said something he never did.
It affect the jury? We had this conversation when we first knew that this clip was edited just a couple weeks ago. And we were talking about this clip was played at my trial. This exact clip that the BBC played was played at our trial. So not only did it affect the jury pool or affected the president himself, it affected justice, right? And in this case, it was people that were rabid anti-Trumpers in the jury pool. And this did not help the situation at all. By showing those words by the president, I think maybe we might take decisive action against the BBC also. But you also got to think about this, and it's one of the reasons why we're suing the DOJ. The DOJ knew that those weren't the words by the president, and they knew everybody would be fooled by this BBC clip, because it kind of, if you look at it, it kind of looks like it just like flows. It almost looks like one entire clip. And they knew this, and they still brought this forward in front of the jury. And it wasn't, again, until a couple of weeks ago that I figured out that, no, wait, this is not his words. I think they were like 40-something minutes apart. They weren't even close to each other. He wasn't even talking about the same thing.
I just actually thought of it as I'm sitting here right now thinking to myself, wow, President Trump has the case, but even maybe more so, the people who went to jail because of this fabricated evidence is unbelievable to me. So you're confirming that this is the clip that was played at your trial? I didn't know that.
Yes, this was the clip
That's
that was played at
insane.
my trial. No, it's super insane. And I believe